Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is Success Mentorship Class number 394. And our topic for today is Build Again. Now, let me tell you something, folks. Each week we do some incredible talks, and our messages seem to really tie in with what's going on in people's lives. But I think that this message today of Build Again is so relevant. There's so many things and so many of our lives that we are having to start over. We're having to reignite, re-energize. And it's a part of life that you have to build over again. One of my millionaire friends, he had built an organization of nearly 250,000 people and had a good seven-figure residual income. And I'd gotten really discouraged. And he said, I had to rebuild my organization 5 times. And so the thought of building again is something for you. It's uh, it's really a lesson to say you have the power to create something incredible. And so hang in there and get it done. Our speaker today is special. Is Dawn Lovell, one of our champion speakers and trainers and coaches and a customer service specialist. So you'll be hearing from her shortly. I remind you again that this is Dr. Herbert Harris, and I, of course, invite you to our website, www.herbertharris.com. And if you don't have a copy of the 12 Universal Laws of Success, get another one. If you do have a copy of the 12 Universal Laws of Success, get another one anyway. It can transform people's lives. So before we get started, let's do our meditation to get us properly centered in the place, that time and place and space where we are one. Let's close our outer eyes, open our inner eyes, take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And then the space of peace and relaxation. I am at peace with myself. Let us affirm that together. I am at peace with myself. Once more. I am at peace with myself. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And in this space of peace and relaxation, my mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let us affirm that together. My mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And so it is. All right, let me bring up our speaker today because this day, you better have your seatbelt on. Okay, you're going to need a seatbelt today because when Dawn Lovell brings the message, it's like it's going to rock your very core. It's going to literally stimulate something inside you that always leads to action, that always leads to growth, that always leads to change. So without further ado, Dawn, welcome, 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 as always, to the Millionaire Mentorship Show. And take it off with Let's Build Again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harris. Good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone that's in the hearing of my voice. For those of you that are in our Zoom room, good morning. For those of you that are watching us online, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, good morning to you. Thank you so much again. As always, it is a pleasure and an honor to sit in this space, to be on this platform. Dr. Harris, I cannot thank you enough. And I honor you for giving me this opportunity and for being one of your mentees that has been with you for a while, and the wonderful nuggets, wisdom, everything that I've just garnered from you that has helped to shape who I am today and bring me to this point. So today we're talking about build again, and today's message may be it's going to be provoking, but in a more solemn way. And I really, when I thought about this message to share, it was because, as you know, the story and the message comes to me first for me. And I've been going through this whole process of building and rebuilding. And I said, what am I going to share with the group? You know, the Eagles, they're coming, they're coming to the space where the Eagles meet on Saturday mornings. And what is it that I can share with them to not just motivate, but to inspire and to transform and to really propel them from one stage to another or from one space to another? And this message this morning is actually very specific, and it's for a specific group of people. Now, if you are on here or you're listening to me and you've been through devastation in your life, you've been through disappointment, you've been through things you started and you never completed them, you've been through a business that failed, you've been through a marriage, a relationship that failed, even if you've been through betrayal of a friend or someone that you know, or even if you suffered through the passing of a loved one, you know, all of these situations, if you have experienced any of these today, this message is for you. This message is called Build Again. And thank you, Dr. Harris, for the wonderful meditation, because there's a part of that meditation that says, I am at peace with myself. I'm at peace. And we have to all get to a space where we're at peace with ourselves. Now, you know, life has a way of shaking our foundation. It shakes the very core of who you are. If you do not develop resilience, if you do not develop a tenacity, if you do not develop a never give up mentality, life will shake you to your core and make you want to give up. I'm sure there are many of you on here, that has wanted to give up multiple times. I know I have. I can put up both hands. There are many times I've wanted to give up. There are many times that things I thought were going to work out didn't work out. There are many times I lost a lot. I lost a lot of material things. I lost money. I lost possessions. I've lost loved ones. And there were times when I felt this, I don't know if I want to continue with this. But if you're here today, I want to say to you and I want to encourage you. And if that's what you're going through, that's what you're feeling or you're trying to navigate, I want to say to you, build again. Build again. Now, many of you have had, like I've had, not just one season, maybe two, maybe 3 seasons where you've had to navigate loss. My brother Herman is on here. He deals a lot with trauma, reversing the stigma. And I know he knows this story very, very well. And he's seen it multiple times. People go through life, sometimes because of decisions they made, sometimes things outside of their control. Life happens. And they've had to come to a point in life to say, it's either I'm going to stay down or I'm going to get up. And I want to say to you, if that's where you are, if you're anywhere on that periphery, let's build again. So here's some of and these, I don't want to call them steps, but here's part of the process that I myself had to go through. And when I share, I always share from a perspective of me walking through this. Because I believe the only way you can share authentically is if you've been through something. That's the only way you can really relate and people can relate to you. Because it's fine to talk theory. Yes, it's great to talk theory. This is something I heard. This is something I learned. This is somebody telling me this. But when you've been in it, when you've experienced it, when you've walked through it, it's a different kind of experience. When you speak it now, it comes from a depth of understanding. It comes from being able to empathize. I talk about that a lot in my customer service trainings and stuff. You need to be able to empathize and know where another person is coming from. You can say, I've walked in those shoes. So let's talk about building again. Now, the first aspect of building again, and I thought about this and I said, Dawn, you really need to create this into something bigger because there's so many people I meet that are going through so much stuff. And they're not sure how to get out on the other side. And many of them, they're clawing through the cobweb, they're clawing through the cloudiness, and they're not really sure which direction they're going in, to be honest. They're just hoping to come out on the other side. They're just hoping that when they come out, they're on the right side and not on the wrong side. So let's start with a process. And I believe in doing what we call the deep work. There are many times in my life that I skim the surface of so many things. You've been through trauma. You said, let's put our big girl panties on and let's move. You bring through hurt or betrayal. You say, you know what? That was that. Let's just keep moving. You go on autopilot. Your business failed. Okay, let's go. Let's start the next one. You had an idea and it didn't work. Okay, but sometimes you have to pause and you have to process. So for any of us that are on here this morning, I say to you, let's pause and let's process. So the first thing you have to do when you're going to build again is not just continue the momentum of where you were before or jump on the next bandwagon or the next bright idea or the next relationship. You have to pause and you have to let go. And I know this is a statement we hear so much. Just let go. Let go. What does that mean? How do you let go? Because sometimes those emotions are so strong. Sometimes that pain is so deep. Sometimes that trauma has just shaken the foundation of who you are. How do I let go? First, and I've been studying this, first you have to acknowledge there's a process. Acknowledge. Acknowledge there's pain. Acknowledge there's disappointment. Acknowledge there's frustration. Acknowledge that you're hurt. Acknowledge it. And take responsibility. There's a saying that says, I am the sum total of all the choices and decisions that I've made. And sometimes it's hard to take responsibility and it's easy to blame. It's easy to say, well, if not for this person, if that person had done what they were supposed to do, if this thing that happened, if I had the perfect environment, if situations had lined up for me, if this had worked out that way, if God hadn't, because sometimes we blame God as well, then I would have been okay. It wouldn't have turned out like this. But how many of you know that there was a choice and there was a decision you made? And it's okay when that decision does not work out. But we have to take responsibility for our decisions. So first you're going to acknowledge and then you're going to take responsibility. Then there's an acceptance. There's an acceptance for where you are now. Okay, I tried this, it didn't work. This is where I am now. Some people have a way of just trying to create something out of a situation and they're not being truthful and honest. If it didn't work, it didn't work. It's okay. There's nothing wrong. It doesn't, you see, people think that their seemingly failures are an indication of their value or who they are. People wear their failures as their identity. It's not your identity. It's a plan that you had that went awry. It's a relationship that you had that didn't work out. It was a decision that you made that maybe if you had considered a little more, or at the time, it seemed like a good decision because of the information that you had. It does not determine who you are. So, after you've accepted where you are now, the truth and the reality of where you are, let's just talk now of what we need to do. I want you to allow yourself to grieve. Wow. Allow yourself to grieve. I've had to do this, and I'm still walking through this. Grieve those decisions. Grieve it didn't work out. Grieve that job loss. Grieve that divorce. Grieve that business that failed. Grieve, go through the emotions, cry, scream, bawl, whatever you need to do, do it. Sometimes you need a good laugh. You laugh and you say, well, this didn't work out, but ha ha, I'm still here. And I promise you, even when you start to do that, the emotions will flow. I've been in situations where I did not think I could ever laugh again. And I broke out into a laugh. My goodness, by the time I was done, I was on the floor. I was rolling. My lashes were wet. My hair was wet. I was having a good laugh because I said to myself, but I made it. I made it. Wow, I made it. So I want you to go through the emotions of grieving. And it's also okay to cry because some of us, we don't want to cry. We want to suck it up and move on. Let's suck it up and let's keep going. How much more are you going to suck up? You got to let go. So when I say to you, I want you to grieve, you see, there is a mental, a physical, an emotional, a spiritual, and psychological. All of these are the aspects of who you are. And we need to deal with all of those parts of us. So for instance, spiritually, sometimes there's some people we need to forgive. Sometimes there's some people you need to say to yourself, you know what? I am going to forgive this person. Sometimes you need to call them. Sometimes you need to write them a letter. You need to let them go. You need to forgive. They were part of that process. It didn't work out. It's fine. Maybe they had a different agenda. Maybe you thought that they were in when they weren't really in. Maybe they wanted to prove to you something. Maybe they had something they wanted to get out of it. Whatever it is, you got to forgive. More than anything else, though, I want you to forgive yourself. This is part of your rebuilding process. Forgive yourself for the wrong decisions. Forgive yourself for the wrong perspective. Because some of it was just perspective, really. We saw things and we saw them in the light of who we were then. And we made a choice. Forgive yourself. Tell yourself, many of us, we say, but I should have been further. If I hadn't done this, this would not have happened. Forgive yourself. And when you do that again, a release comes. You need to declutter. Oh my goodness, you need to declutter. Once you've forgiven yourself, you need to declutter. You need to declutter your mind, your thoughts. What are those thought patterns? What are the things of the past that you're still holding on to? What are the things you haven't forgiven yourself for? Those are the things you need to declutter from your mind. You need to declutter your mind. You can declutter your mind by going into quiet spaces, going out into nature. You need to declutter your mind by decluttering your space. So physically, the other day I went to my desk and I saw all this clutter in my desk. And they say usually if your space is cluttered, it means your mind is cluttered. And oh boy, was my mind cluttered. I took everything off my desk. I cleaned my office. I moved everything out. I set everything in order. And I said, now I'm ready to build again. And there was a release. There was a whew when I did that. Declutter your space, declutter your wardrobe, declutter your physical, declutter your soul. Because many of us, our space might be clear, but we haven't decluttered our soul. That soulish realm where you have all those emotions. Declutter. Because for you to move on, you need to free up space. So declutter the things of your past. And after that, once you've done your decluttering, of course, we only have a short time, so I can't go fully in depth into all of these, but you need to give thanks. So you've spent some time, you've acknowledged, you've accepted, you've grieved, you've forgiven, you've decluttered, and now you need to give thanks. Oh my goodness, I thank you. I'm so thankful I made it. I'm so thankful that, it didn't work out, but I'm okay. I'm thankful because I can build again. I'm thankful because I can move again. I'm thankful because I still have strength. My physical body is still working. My mind is still working. I could have gone crazy. I could have been in an asylum, but I'm here and my mental faculties are working. I am thankful. So we have to be thankful. Now, we are almost ready to grow. and to move and to build. After you've been thankful, celebrate. Celebration gives you momentum. And let me explain celebration, because sometimes we think celebration means I have to go through a big party. I have to go out and buy something expensive. No, celebration means you've taken a time out to thank yourself, to celebrate yourself. And it could mean just for going for a walk. It could mean having just a scoop of ice cream. It could mean having a glass of wine. It could mean a big celebration party, whatever you choose, whatever's your fancy. But celebrate, because you're about now to launch into the next phase. And this is where we're going to start to build again. So let's talk about building, because we needed to do the groundwork and the deep work so we can start, and so that we're not on a repetitive cycle and a loop. Because many times when we're trying to build and we have not taken the time to dig out the foundation or to repair the foundation, we find ourselves in a loop and we fall back into the same old patterns that we had before, those old mindsets, those old perspectives, those old thoughts. And if we be honest, they didn't get us where we wanted to be. So how are we building again? First, I want you to be clear. Clean slate, charting a new path. First off, we have to unlearn some things. My goodness, we got to unlearn some things. There's some things that we did that when we look back, so you need to be analytical. You need to analyze. You need to do an audit. Because when we look back, we said, well, I did it this way, but that really wasn't progressive. That didn't work. So how do I unlearn? We need to now relearn and learn. So that's freeing up of space, acknowledging that these patterns, this way of thinking didn't work before. Now I need to get into spaces where I'm exposed. I always said exposure and experience leads to expansion. Experience and exposure, or exposure and experience, leads to expansion, because you've been in a loop, because you've been in the same spaces, talking to the same people, in the same old job, in the same old thought process. So you're in a cycle and you're in a loop. And when you have you're listening to your favorite song on YouTube and you put it on loop and it just continues to go and go and go, that's what you've been doing. No, we're building. Because we're going to build differently. I want you to write your vision down. If you haven't done it, I want you to do it. If you have written your vision, though, this is what I want you to do. I want you to tear it up. Oh, that one hit me deep. I said, boy, tear it up. Yes, I want you to tear it up. I want you to burn it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you need a clarity. I don't want you referring to your old vision. If you have a vision that was given to you by God, if there's a vision in your spirit, you're going to know how to write it again. You're going to know how to write that again. But if perchance that vision that you had was somebody else's vision, it wasn't clear, it was confused, and it was cluttered. It was based on your perspective. It was based on what was happening. It was based on your circumstances. It was based on what somebody told you. Then that needs to go. So if this vision is really a vision of your spirit given to you by God, you're going to know how to write it again, because it never left you. It's imprinted on your heart. So I want you to tear that old vision up. Tear it up. Burn it. Because we're building again. Now you're building with clarity. You're building with understanding. You're building now with experience. Because you know now what didn't work. You know now why you didn't get up and you didn't put your goals, and why you didn't achieve your goals in the 90 days, in the year, in the 5 years you said you were going to do. Now you have understanding. You didn't do what was necessary. So you need clarity. You have clarity now. Things are clearer. You know now what to do and you know what not to do. Most importantly, what did not work before. You need to eliminate that first. Because what didn't work, or what wasn't you, now is going to determine what's you. It's going to give you that clearer path. Stop masking your true desires. How many of us have masked our true desires? The true vision. This morning I got up and I have a vision of a project I want to do. And I said, my God, I looked at this before and it looked a little small. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh my goodness, I need to tear that up because the vision I have now is huge. And I'm saying, yes, it's supposed to scare you because I'm like, I don't even know I'm going to get this done, but I see it. And it's huge. But you know why it's huge? Because it has to bless lots of people. So that's why it's huge. So stop masking the vision. Stop masking your true desires. Stop dumbing it down because of someone that told you. Stop dumbing it down because you don't have the money. Stop dumbing it down because somebody told you it's not going to work. Stop masking it. It needs to be in its purest, truest form. Good. We're building. And stop apologizing for what you want. Stop apologizing for what you want. Stop apologizing for the desire. Some people want $1 million. And some of us would say, well, no, that's not it. You want material things. Let me go to the next step. You know why you need $1 million or why that's in your spirit? Because maybe God said to you, you know what? You need to build a foundation and you need to have millions of dollars to do it. And you just thought maybe, you know what? But that's not right. People are going to think I'm greedy. People are going to. God gave you that for a reason. You see, what happened before is you didn't have the why. Now you need the why. So you're building what we call focus. Focus comes because of your why. Before you built and you didn't understand the why. Now you have clarity of the why. You see the difference here. You see, focus is the difference between having a flashlight or being a flashlight and being a laser. Both of them give you light. They're great. In the darkness, you need a flashlight. But let me tell you something. What focus does is concentrates that light to a point that it can actually turn to a laser and cut steel. What steel do you need to cut? It's great to be light, but do you know how much more you can do? If you can focus that laser energy, you can cut steel, which means you're invincible. You're unstoppable. All right. You need to look the vision. You need to speak the vision. You need to behave the vision. You need to wear the vision. You need to be the vision. Because now we're laser. You've chipped away everything else. And you're laser focused. This is how we're building this time. It says someone said it takes 21 days to build a habit. And I realized that's not necessarily true because there are many things I've done for 21 days and I reverted back to my old habits. But according to Dr. Carol Leaf and another coach that I listened to, she said 63 days is really what it takes. 63 days. That's 3 sets of 21. Because at the 21st day, here's what happened to me. I don't know if it's happened to you, but what's happened to me is I was, oh my goodness, I was pressing towards the mark of 21 days. When I got there, it was like, okay, well, this is going to end soon. Okay, wow, good. I reached 21 days and I stopped. And somehow the loop began again. I've exercised for 21 days. I've eaten healthy for 21 days. I've prayed for 21 days religiously. And somehow the cycle ended and I went back to what was familiar. So we're going to do 63 days. Because by then, the old stuff should be out of you. By then, the old habits are being replaced by the new habits. And those neural pathways and everything are being rewired. 63 days. I want to say to you as I close, because those daily habits are what are going to build you. And you know what? Micro habits. I started my walk again. I'd been out of the gym for a year. Why? I don't know. Because my circumstances changed. My location changed. And I stopped exercising. And I determined in my heart I was going to start back. But I've started small. I'm walking every day. And while I'm walking, I'm enjoying the scenery. I'm breathing more. I'm connecting to nature just by walking. I'm moving. I'm graduating. So I want you to take that one step. And as you take that one step, you can build on it. Don't try to do too much one time. Your goal ultimately should be a big goal. It should be a stretch goal. Yes, but your daily habits need to be consistent and they need to add one on top the other. That's how we're building. Because now we're building better. We're building bolder. We're building bigger. We're building brighter. But we're building. So I want to say to you, Nelson Mandela, he said something that was very profound. He said, don't judge me by my successes. Oh my goodness. Don't judge me by my successes, but judge me by the amount of times I've fallen and gotten back up again. I encourage you today to build again. Build again. It didn't work out last time, but build again. You have the capacity now. You have the experience now. You have the know-how. You have the understanding. You have the wisdom. You have the new community. You have the new perspective. Build again. That's my word for you today. I hope it's blessed you the way this has even blessed me, even in saying this message this morning, it has blessed me to also continue to build again. Thank you so much. I pray this, really, really resonates with you today. And never stop building. Building is important because at every stage of your life, there's an evolution that takes place. And no time you've built before can never compare to how you're going to build now, because you're wiser, because you're more resilient. That's my word. Thank you so much, Dr. Harris. Thank you so much for all of you that are listening in on our Zoom room. We're going to go into our discussion. If you have not joined our masterclass, you need to do that Saturday mornings, because in here is where the real discussion happens. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Turn over to you, Dr. Harris.
Wow. Dawn, I was taking notes on top of notes on top of notes. I think everybody needed to hear this message. Everybody needed to hear this message because we are constantly building again. We're constantly building over. We're constantly starting over, and to have a roadmap to do so is absolutely incredible. Wow. Let me close out the live broadcast because I can see Herman's hat is just wiggling. And Sheila and Lena, I tell you, wow. Well, let me tell you, folks, those of you who are watching online, if you didn't take notes, you need to do the replay as soon as possible, because the message that you received today is a message that can give you a blueprint to build again. Life is always about building again. The moment you're static, you're dead. Okay. And so, one of the things you said, build better, build bolder, build bigger. That's the key. Always the idea of exposure and experience leads to expansion. Experience is the hard knock, is the hole that you fall into. Yeah. What you learn from falling in the hole. Exposure is the hole. When you fall in the hole and you experience it, you go like, okay, let me stop digging. If I stop digging, I got a chance to get out of here. Stop digging and look up. That's two things I can do right now. And so, Dawn, what you laid on everybody, I think isn't it amazing how all the topics seem to be just the one that you needed right now? So those of you online, thank you so much for being with us. Be sure to visit our website, www.herbertharris.com. Schedule a success consultation with us. We'll get you more information, and you can become a part of the Success Mastermind Group. This year, you remember this, that you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is.